1. No, your job as a leader is to inspire and to galvanize, not to share your distraught thoughts. You make your people dispirited. Repression can only go up to a point. When it becomes too acute, the instruments of repression, namely the army and the police, have been proved time and time again in history to have turned their guns on their masters. 2. You need a certain standard of literacy, moral and ethical values to be able to run a one-man, one-vote system. 3. The acid test of any legal system is not the greatness or the grandeur of its ideal concepts, but whether, in fact, it is able to produce order and justice. To straddle the middle ground and win elections, we have to be in charge of the political agenda. This can only be done by not being beaten in the argument with our critics. They complain that I come down too hard on their arguments. But wrong ideas have to be challenged before they influence public opinion and make for problems. Those who try to be clever at the expense of the government should not complain if my replies are as sharp as their criticisms. 4. Prudence dictates that there should be a balance of power in the Asia-Pacific region. A nation is great not by its size alone. It is the will, the cohesion, the stamina, the discipline of its people, and the quality of their leaders, which ensure it an honorable place in history. 5. The task of the leaders must be to provide or create for them a strong framework within which they can learn, work hard, be productive, and be rewarded accordingly. And this is not easy to achieve. 6. When people say, "Oh, ask the people," it's childish rubbish. They say people can think for themselves. Do you honestly believe that the chap who can't pass primary 6 knows consequences of his choice when he answers a questions viscerally on language, culture, and religion? We would starve. We would have race riots. We would disintegrate. 7. I have never been over-concerned or obsessed with opinion polls or popularity polls. I think a leader who is a weak leader. Between being loved and being feared, I have always believed Machiavelli was right. If nobody is afraid of me, I'm meaningless. 8. In the East, the main object is to have a well-ordered society so that everybody can have maximum enjoyment of his freedoms. This freedom can only exist in an ordered state and not in a natural state of contention and anarchy. 9. The ultimate test of the value of a political system is whether it helps that society to establish conditions which improve the standard of living for the majority of its people. 10. With few exceptions, democracy has not brought good government to new developing countries. What Asians value may not necessarily be what Americans or Europeans value. Westerners value the freedoms and liberties of the individual. 11. The exuberance of democracy leads to undisciplined and disorderly conditions which are inimical to development. But we either believe in democracy or we not. If we do, then we must say categorically, without qualification, that no restraint from any democratic processes, other than by the ordinary law of the land, should be allowed. If you believe in democracy, you must believe in it unconditionally. If you believe that men should be free, then they should have the right of free association, of free speech, of free publication. Then no law should permit those democratic processes to be set at naught. 12. Singaporeans, if I can choose an analogy, we are the hard disk of a computer. The foreign talent are the megabytes you add to your storage capacity. So your computer never hangs because you got enormous storage capacity. 13. You know, the cure for all this talk is really a good dose of incompetent government. You get that alternative and you'll never put Singapore together again. Humpty Dumpty cannot be put together again. 14. I did not know I was to spend the rest of my life getting Singapore not just to work but to prosper and flourish. Freedom of the press, freedom of the news media, must be subordinated to the overriding needs of the integrity of Singapore, and to the primacy of purpose of an elected government. 15. When you're Singapore's leader, and your existence depends on performance, extraordinary performance, better than your competitors. When that performance disappears because the system on which it's been based becomes eroded, then you've lost everything. I try to tell the younger generation that, and they say the old man is playing the same record. We've heard it all before. I happen to know how we got here, and I know how we can unscramble it. On one freak election result ruining Singapore 16. I was also troubled by the apparent overconfidence of a generation that has only known stability, growth, and prosperity. I thought our people should understand how vulnerable Singapore was and is, the dangers that beset us, and how we nearly did not make it. Most of all, I hope that they will know that honest and effective government, public order and personal security, economic and social progress did not come about as the natural course of events. 17. We allow American journalists in Singapore in order to report Singapore to their fellow countrymen, but we cannot allow them to assume a role in Singapore that the American media play in America. That of invigilator, adversary and inquisitor of the administration. 18. The original communitarianism of Chinese Confucian society has degenerated into nepotism, a system of family linkages and corruption on the mainland. And remnants of the evils of the original system are still found in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and even Singapore.
Like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much.